Hello, Gene Schwimmer here. Welcome to today's vlog. Our subjects for today, and I say plural because I couldn't decide what I wanted to talk about today because a lot happened today. I also think that these are fairly brief subjects that should not take a lot of time. So the first one, unfortunately, this is a very tragic story. A woman and 3 babies were found dead in the desert on federal land. Illegal immigrants trying to get into the country. That's very tragic. I'm very sorry that something like that happened. I'm very sorry to have read about that happening. I'm especially sorry, however, that it's the Democrats who, well, I'm not going to say they're responsible for this woman being dead. That's honestly going way too far. But I am going to say that it's their failure to do anything about immigration that's encouraging people like this woman to come in with 3 babies. And I think they said it was 115 degrees in that desert where she was, to try to come into the country. Now, they may have gotten through a wall anyhow. I kind of doubt that a woman with 3 babies would have gotten through a wall such as the one that Trump wants to build. But really, shame on the Democrats. I don't understand it. I really don't. You think you're helping people. I guess that they think they're helping people by bringing more potential Democratic voters into the country. But look at what happened. I mean, really, there are legal ways to get into the country. We're not trying to keep immigrants out, but we're trying to keep immigrants from doing what this unfortunate woman did, and three babies. I just can't understand it, but that's all I'm going to say about that. The second topic I want to talk about is one of 2 things that Trump did today as far as signing executive orders. He signed one to increase the sanctions on Iran. This time he specifically targeted the Ayatollah Khomeini. So congratulations to him to do that. I don't want to dwell too much on that topic except to say that I can understand, but really I can only half understand. I can understand why no Democrat was there, to my understanding, at that signing of this executive order increasing sanctions. I'm assuming no Democrat was there because of their disappointment, number one, that Trump ended the JCPOA, the agreement that Obama and our European allies made with Iran. But I also think that they're angry that Trump has been proven right. He's been proven right that this is a horrible agreement, or it was a horrible agreement. I think it's just sour grapes, so they didn't want to show up. But what I can't understand is that, to my knowledge, from what I could see, I watched Trump sign that order about Iran and Khomeini. I also saw him sign another order ordering hospitals to be transparent about their prices so patients can know the costs of their treatment, what they're being charged for. Number one, what services are being charged for, because sometimes they don't even find out what was done until it's too late, especially if you end up in the emergency room. You're not going to sit there and say, well, what are the services, and pick from a list and bargain. Now, hospitals will be required to disclose the services they are providing and the costs of those services. Now, that's especially important. Well, there was one woman there who spoke at the signing. She was a cancer patient. She needed 2 treatments. She had the first treatment at one hospital and then had the second treatment at another hospital that was only 17 miles away from the first hospital, but the cost for the very same procedure at the second hospital was 300% more than the cost for that same treatment at the first hospital. But now she is going to know, and we're all going to know ahead of time, the costs of our treatments. So if it's not an emergency, especially, then you can shop around, get the best price. Congratulations to Donald Trump for doing that. Charles Grassley was at the signing, Republican senator. I believe there were other Republicans there. However, not one Democratic senator or representative was there, to my knowledge. If I'm wrong about that, and there were Democrats there, then somebody can tell me in the comments and I will gladly correct the record. But to my knowledge, from what I could see, there were no Democrats or no Democratic congressmen or senators at that signing. I don't understand that either, except that they don't want to see Donald Trump do something good, or they don't want to be present while he's doing something good. So I'm wondering what happened to the good old days, and it wasn't that long ago, where you would have a president signing a bill or an executive order, and you would have Republicans and Democrats present. Now, I could understand if this was some kind of partisan bill, if he were overturning Obamacare, I could understand no Democrats showing up, but this is just price transparency, letting people know the cost of their hospital services before they get them so they can shop around. How could any Democrat possibly object to that? Well, I could see how a socialist Democrat could object, because it means one more step farther away from socialized health care. The more power you give to patients to decide what health care they want and where they're going to get it and how much they want to pay for it, the less likely they are to want to have socialized health care. In fact, I'm going to do a future video on the main difference between Republicans and Democrats, and the main difference is, this is the catchphrase I'm going to use, is that Democrats want to give you free stuff. Republicans want to give you free choice. That's basically the difference between the two parties today. All right, that's it for these two brief subjects I wanted to cover. This is the main subject that I want to cover. I think this could be brief too, but it harkens back to what I covered yesterday about Iran, that the reason they're so hot on a nuclear weapon, on obtaining a nuclear weapon, is because not so much the United States or Israel, but because they're facing a demographic disaster. They have a very low fertility rate. They have a very high rate of, I guess you would say, agedness. 7% of the population right now in Iran is above the age of 60. But if you keep that same fertility rate, by mid-century, 40% of the Iranian population will be above the age of 60 in a country that has a per capita income of just slightly below $6,000. They are facing a real disaster. What that brings me to today is that here is a way for the women, the young women of Iran, to bring down this regime. Because as I was saying yesterday, one of the main problems that Iran will have, besides the financial one of supporting an aged population on a low per capita income, is that they will not have a sufficient number of young men to field a credible army. That's their second problem. So the women of Iran can help bring down this regime by simply not having babies. I know it sounds really radical, and this is one of my ideas again, where you could say it's a crazy idea, but as in the B movies, it's a crazy idea, so crazy that it just might work. Really, it's just a matter of math. Now, how does one implement this, or how do the young women of Iran do this? Well, one way is to watch this video to get the idea. Another way is for people who are watching this video to spread the video, and hopefully someone in Iran will see it. But if the women of Iran decide to do this, they have to spread the message around to form a movement to do that. And a good way to do that is, you may remember back in 2009 during the so-called Green Revolution, when Iranians, especially young Iranians, took to the streets to protest the re-election of Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, because they considered that to be a rigged election, which it almost certainly was. This was a shameful period in our history, just as a little aside here, because Obama gave no support to the people of Iran as they took to the streets, and in many cases risked their lives, and in at least one case I recall reading, lost their lives, gave their lives. And Obama did nothing because he was already working on this Iranian nuclear joint comprehensive plan of action deal. So that's a very shameful mark against Obama. But what I want to talk about in going back to this Green Revolution is that the way the young people spread the message is, well, you don't have free speech. You couldn't just try to foment a revolution by speaking, but what you could do is, what they did do was take to the rooftops, go on the rooftops and shout Allahu Akbar. It's Arabic, not Persian, though, well, it's possible that it could be the same in both languages. Some phrases are the same in two languages. But the point of shouting Allahu Akbar is that you can't punish somebody for saying God is great in a theocracy. You can't do that. But the way they said it, it was clear that they were preaching revolution when saying God is great. So this is my advice to the young women of Iran. Take to the rooftops, shout Allahu Akbar, and don't have babies. Of course, I understand what a sacrifice this could be for young women who naturally want to have children when they're young in their childbearing years, but look at the kind of society, the kind of country into which you would be bringing these children. Plus, as I already said, there's a very low fertility rate already, 1.7 children per woman. That's what the Iranian mullahs are so worried about, because that's below the replacement rate. You've already got a low birth rate, so women are already making the decision not to have children, but they're not making it into a movement where they're collectively saying that we're not going to have children while the mullahs are in power. Make it known that they are not going to have children, they are not going to bear children as long as the mullahs are in power. That, the public collective commitment of Iran's women not to bear children as long as the mullahs are in power, would do more to bring down that regime than the sanctions would. I really believe that. So I hope somebody thinks of that or gets this message that I'm sending out and does it. And that's it for today. Thanks for stopping by again. I hope I'll see everybody again soon. I hope I'll see more people soon next time than are here this time. And the way to make that happen would be thumbs up if you like the video. Share it with anybody you think could benefit from it. Put any comments you may have into the comment section below. You can also put in that comment section suggestions for future topics. If you have a Twitter feed, you can tweet out the URL to my videos or the whole channel to your followers, invite them to retweet. And finally, you could subscribe, and if you subscribe, then you'll be alerted to a new video as soon as I post it. And that's it. See you again. Bye.